Ooh, what's anime? Real quick, this is a note. So I'm listening to an interpretation of Plato's Cave, where they reference the Tower of Babel, right? And as I'm researching these things, the way that I view everything is changing. That's why I research as much as possible, and I don't filter based on on things that others may use as filters. One of the questions that comes to mind is, has anyone really, and not anyone, but right now, and not necessarily speaking of philosophers, the average being that's contemplating these allegories or these stories, because I think that the Tower of Babel is a real story. Have you ever thought specifically why they were building the tower? Like, what made them so upset that they needed to build a tower to invade heaven? Because I think most of us, when we were taught it, we were being taught that story from the position of, look at what they did, this is wrong, this is not what God desires. But if you think for yourself for a second, one of the questions that may come to you is, why were they so unhappy or so upset or so, so much the opposite of content and happy in what is earlier called, you know, Eden, what would have made them want to do that, right? Like, if this is such a godly and great place that was provided to you, then why would they want to build a tower to invade heaven? What would make them get over all of their differences to want to invade heaven? And if you look at the text and how the text is said, they, not he, they looked down and said, oh shit, they're coming. They're like us now. Things will never be the same. What are we going to do about it? That's essentially what they were saying in response. And so, with that, there are today there were two different beings came to me in comments and said some weird stuff that was like essentially trying to throttle my research and throttle me as a sovereign being. What I'll say to you is, why do you feel the need to tell me what I should believe versus building your own framework of self-belief? Why is it so important that you tell me what I believe versus you building your own? Have you ever asked yourself that? For all of those internet evangelists that look for channels to go and try to like build a pulpit, like, why do you feel that you need to do that? I mean, I know within those churches and within those congregations, they tell you to go out and testify and whatnot, but testifying is not the same thing as trying to make someone believe what you believe or trying to fear-monger them into thinking like you think. Doesn't make any sense. And then when I engage with those beings, the things that they come back with are not well researched or even that intelligent. I had one other instance that went very well, which I have to bring attention to that because that doesn't happen very often. Started off not the same, not as dogmatic or Abrahamic, but still kind of same feel. I said some things in response. They said, "Oh, okay, that I'm okay with. That's a very heartfelt interaction." But that evangelizing and fear-mongering and manipulation, I'm not going to respond to that, So I just figured I'd say that within one of these videos so that, hopefully, or maybe, not even hope, I don't care, it's not hope. Maybe you come across this before you go to leave one of these goofy-ass messages that you leave in the comments. I don't care. I don't care. and and what I will say is, if someone comes across and does that, and they actually have studied and researched more than me, then I'll at the very least pay closer attention, because I don't even really think too deeply into what those beings say, because I know more about your own text than you do. So what sense does it make for you to try to influence or change my perspective when you haven't even read the text that you purport to cling to so much? That's not logical. It's not logical. And while I do think that faith has a purpose and it has positive potential, I don't think that faith without works or faith without logic and mind makes any sense. And your own text says that. You would know that if you read it. Right? So, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to end up, I don't know if this is a pregame, just maybe like a thought or a note or something. I don't know, but definitely that first part, very profound epiphany. Why did they build it? Why were they so upset that they felt the need to do that? That's a lot of work. That's a lot of peace treaties. That's a lot of, hey, you know what? I don't like you, you don't like me, but let's get to building this shit, bro, because I'm not happy. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know. I might talk on that later. But I think more likely, I probably will talk about that because it comes from what I was already planning on pre-gaming for. And it's a second pregame to add to another one, so it's going to be like probably a longer video, this next full video I do. There's a researcher I found who, I keep finding these researchers that apparently have been working on similar work before me. They're older than me, which is cool. That makes me, because I didn't come across them until after my research thus far. And so it makes me think to myself, not only are you, you know, your work, your research, the things that you're coming to are not unfounded, because other logical beings are coming to similar, if not the same things as well, but also, you know, the way that I do my research, I'm not allowing them to shape the future of it. It's usually just corroboration, or if there's a new lane that opens up from what they've done, cool, but I'm still doing my own research. I don't buy their books, I don't go to their webinars, you know, I don't frequent any of them that much. But it is nice to see that a similar path has been started before mine. You know, definitely corroboration. I don't know. I'm still kicking it with the little champion. So I'm going to go make us some sandwiches. And I'll be back soon. Player later.